Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas is finally learning what many in the U.S. have discovered some time ago. When President Trump says he will do something, he means it. Wait till you hear the latest developments in the Palestinian-U.S. relationship. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are huge things to tell you today, breaking stories in our relationship with the Palestinians, things that will directly affect the conclusion of a Middle East peace agreement. And don't forget, when the peace agreement is signed between Israel and the Palestinians, we begin, all of us, the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon. You don't want to miss these developments. Now, before we dive into it, I do want to tell you about our prophecy conferences this week. On Friday evening at 7:30 p.m., I will be in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm going to be speaking there on America's God-given destiny. Now, ladies and gentlemen, America is in the Bible. But more than that, America's future is in the Bible. This is a lesson that every American needs to hear. So if you're under the sound of my voice today and you're within the Indianapolis area, and we have people drive from 3, 4, 5, 6 hours away, so don't hesitate to come in. It's going to be a great evening at the Mount Zion Apostolic Church, 4900 East 38th Street, Indianapolis, Indiana. I'll look forward to seeing you there. Then on the next night in South Bend, Indiana, that's Saturday, September the 22nd, at 7 p.m., I will be speaking on Trump, Jerusalem, Armageddon, another must-hear message. Now, that's going to be at the Ironwood United Pentecostal Church, 4609 South Ironwood Drive in South Bend. Then on Sunday morning, we're staying over for Sunday morning in South Bend this time, which is a first for us, actually. Very much looking forward to it. Sunday morning at 10 a.m., I'm going to be giving you breaking prophetic fulfillments. You're going to find out the cutting edge, what's happening right now. Again, that's at the Ironwood United Pentecostal Church, 4609 South Ironwood Drive in South Bend, Indiana. So don't forget these conferences. Very important, very special. All right, let's talk about what's happening. The article came out this week, Trump peace team in pre-launch phase, completing economic package. This was in the Jerusalem Post on the 15th of this month, just 2 or 3 days ago. U.S. President Donald Trump's top diplomats are setting the stage for the launch of his peace plan, with or without participation from the Palestinian Authority. Senior administration officials told the Jerusalem Post this week. Did you hear that? President Trump and his peace team, they're getting ready. They're preparing for the pre-launch of his peace plan. This has been in the making for 16, 17 months. He promised this before he ever became president. Now then, they prepared a plan, and they are preparing for the pre-launch phase of this plan within a few weeks, probably, or maybe a couple of months or two. The article goes on to say the Middle East peace team led by Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, and Jason Greenblatt, his special representative for international negotiations, is still completing the economic portion of its plan, now 19 months in the making. It is also engaging interested parties outside of the government for buy-in and settling in new staff that will manage the public rollout. We are in the pre-launch phase of the plan, and still it is in need to put the finishing touches on it, although that can happen very quickly, a senior administration official said. And in an ideal world, we want to put forth a plan at a time that gives it the best chances of achieving success. So we want to get it ready. We want the timing, we want the pieces of the puzzle in place. That's what's going on. And that's what's in the news in Israel this week, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to pause right there to ask you this. What if they sign the Middle East peace agreement yet this year? How are you positioned? Are you ready for that dramatic development? Are you ready to know that you just stepped into the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon and the physical second coming of Jesus Christ to the earth? Are you ready for that? That's what we're facing. Now, I can't tell you absolutely that will happen this year. It may be next year, and maybe even the next. I even doubt that. I mean, we are staring right down the end of the gun barrel, but it's going to be so exciting. You got to learn all about it. If you want to learn all about it, you need to become a part of the Jerusalem Prophecy College. To do that, go to JerusalemProphecyCollege.com, register, enroll in your first course. I would do it right now. Or you can give us a call, 800-END-TIME.
Many Christians admit end-time Bible prophecy is very complex and difficult to understand, and for some, a little bit scary. But what if you could understand Bible prophecy? What if you could know what will happen and how the United States will play a key role during end-time events? When you call today and get Understanding the End Time DVD curriculum, you can have peace about what is to come while understanding the prophetic events that appear in our headlines every day. When you call or go online to endtime.com and order, you'll learn the answer to the biggest prophecy question of all. Will the rapture take place, and when will it happen? This 14-part DVD series is the definitive end-time prophecy Bible study available. And for this limited time, you can get it for just $149. Don't miss this special offer. Understanding the End Time. Call now. 1-800-363-8463. That's 1-800-END-TIME. Or go to endtime.com today.
I have left a piece of my heart in Israel and her people. We would like to thank End Time for doing such an awesome job with our Israel tour. We marvel at your team keeping the time schedule, keeping everyone comfortable, the wonderful driver, the brilliant guide, the entire tour program, good hotel choices, and stellar food. We had the privilege to rub shoulders with Pastor Baxter, listen to his current teachings, and had some interesting questions answered so eloquently. He is wonderful. Helene from Australia.
Join Irvin and Judy Baxter May 2nd through the 17th, 2019 for the ultimate Israel tour experience with a Greek island cruise. Go to endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 to sign up today.
So the announcement that's come to us this week out of Israel is that the Trump peace team is in the pre-launch phase of the Trump peace plan. Now, if this plan is successful, then you and I will enter the final 7 years as soon as the agreement is concluded. How quickly can that happen? I don't know the answer to that. I know one thing. Donald Trump does not like to move slow. There's actually a slogan around the White House, working at the speed of Trump, because he has all of his administration working so hard from early morning to late at night. Well, it's one of the jokes around there, but it's no joke. Anyway, let's get back to the peace plan. The peace team is acknowledging that serendipity might never strike. In other words, the ideal time to easily launch this may not happen. and that the team could ultimately present the president with a recommendation to proceed to release the plan without Palestinian cooperation as months continue to pass, without the rapprochement and the harmony returning between the United States and the Palestinians. As Trump aides lay the groundwork for launch, the White House has simultaneously hit the Palestinian Authority with several punitive measures, including closure of the PLO offices in Washington. Now, this was a shocker. Trump just announces you cannot maintain offices in Washington, D.C. anymore. And furthermore, he revoked the visas of their ambassador and forced them to leave immediately. So they never thought they would go this far. The closure of the PLO offices in Washington and aid cuts to West Bank and Gaza, to East Jerusalem hospitals, and to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, known as UNRWA. We're talking about cuts of hundreds of millions of dollars here. Trump says, you don't want to talk to me? You don't want my money. That's the bottom line, period. And he meant it, because now he's enforced it. Trump suggested last week that this series of cuts were part of a calculated plan to pressure the Palestinian Authority to come to the table ahead of the launch of the plan. I'd say you'll get money, but we're not paying you until we make a deal. If we don't make a deal, we're not paying. I'm pretty black and white. But the Palestinians have not been used to this. They've been used to being coddled and pampered and trying to be coaxed to the table. Trump says, you don't come to the table, we're just cutting off all of your money. And it's no secret that the Palestinians have to have this money to exist, because the Palestinian is basically a welfare, it's not even a state yet. But I think they have about a 50% unemployment. You can't support that unless you get money from somewhere, and they're certainly not generating it out of the Palestinian economy. So Trump said, if we don't make a deal, we're not paying. And he told Jewish leaders in a Rosh Hashanah phone call that Rosh Hashanah is the celebration of the new year in Israel. Ramallah cut off contact with the White House last December after Trump recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital, moving the U.S. embassy there from Tel Aviv 5 months later on May the 14th of 2018. Nikki Haley, who serves as the U.S. ambassador to the UN and who has consulted closely with the peace team, also said Palestinian rhetoric critical of the president contributed to the aid cuts. In other words, Trump doesn't like to be insulted, especially when he's giving them $730 million a year. Our job is not to take the beatings that you give us, saying we're not kind to Palestinians, and then turn around and pay for them, she said last month. We're not into paying for beatings. But this is not a political strategy, the official continued. The U.S. needs to make decisions about certain issues all the time. The president wanted all foreign aid reviewed. That included aid to the Palestinians. And while in prior administrations, aid to the Palestinians has been viewed in the context of the peace process, we don't look at these decisions through that lens. We look at it through the lens of how the United States benefits from use of its money. Kushner, who is leading the entire peace effort but is particularly active in designing the economic package in the plan, told the New York Times this week that the team was intentionally slaughtering sacred cows that have thwarted past peace efforts. PA leaders have recently referred to the Trump administration as enemies of the Palestinian people and say its peace plan is dead on arrival. Now, I want to stop right there, because what do we refer to when Kushner says we're slaughtering sacred cows? What does that mean? One was the status of Jerusalem. Don't move your embassy to Jerusalem. Don't recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The second one was the right of return. All of the refugees that left Israel, remember, the Arabs launched a war against Israel in 1948 on May the 15th. The Jews did not launch that war. They didn't want a war. I mean, they were just barely breathing. They were newborn one day. They'd only been a nation one day. And all the Arabs attacked them to try to kill them before they could even catch their breath. So as a result of that war, God blessed Israel, and many Arabs decided to flee the territory that Israel took. So they went into refugee camps. Well, Israel tried to make peace after that, but the Arabs didn't want to make peace. They wanted to work hard to rebuild their forces, their militaries, so they could try again to destroy Israel. They finally thought in 1967 they were ready, and so Egypt, Jordan, and Syria launched an attack against Israel in 1967. They lose more land. More people decided to flee. Now, many Arabs just stayed there and lived, and now then many of them have become Israeli citizens, but many of them decided to flee, so they went into refugee camps. Well, in refugee camps, of course, there's no way to support themselves. Israel didn't want them in refugee camps because all the Jews that were forced to flee from around the nations where they were, Israel took them in, trained them, gave them jobs, and now they're a productive member of society. But the Arabs didn't do that. They wanted to keep these refugees as a political football. That way they can continually contend for the right of return. All these people had homes in Tel Aviv and Haifa and different places in Israel. They've got to go back and get their homes back. And so that was part of the negotiation process. Well, now all of a sudden Trump has said, oh no, they can't ever go back. Everybody knows that. It would destroy the Jewish nation. Now we may want to pay them reparations, but other than that, they're not going back. And furthermore, Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, and we've already moved our embassy there. And so all of a sudden, the Palestinians are sitting here stunned because President Obama was pressuring Israel to withdraw from East Jerusalem and was actually promoted a UN resolution stating that Israel's presence in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, was a flagrant violation of international law. He plotted and planned that whole deal and let the international community know America won't be vetoing that. You can get it through now while I'm still president before Donald Trump takes office a month from now. Well, all of a sudden, we've got this huge flipping of the tables. And now then Trump says, sorry, there's no such thing as the right of return. And sorry, yes, Jerusalem is Israel's capital. Everybody knows it. It's been Israel's capital for 3,000 years. We're not playing games. We deal with reality, not with political games. And so consequently, they're killing these sacred cows that had blocked the peace all this time. Now, at first, Mahmoud Abbas said, you'll never get by with this. But all of a sudden, they cut off $300 million from this source and $200 million from this source, and they kept lopping off all of their income. And he's looking at his coffers quickly dwindling down and knows he's getting ready to go bankrupt. And if he does, he'll be overthrown, and maybe there won't even be a Palestinian entity anymore. So suddenly, he's dealing with this guy that says what he's going to do and then does it, and is so different than anything he's ever dealt with before, he couldn't believe it for a while. Okay, let's go on. But the team, the Middle East peace team, is betting that Arab allies of Ramallah will not tolerate its refusal to read or engage with the American proposal once it is released, because Abbas has said, I don't want to read it. I'm not interested. America is not a fair arbiter because they have recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital, and that's it. But Jordan, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, all the surrounding Arab countries are saying, wait a minute, this guy can deliver this peace deal. Now, the Middle East peace team believes they'll pressure the Palestinians to read it and give it a fair consideration. In a telling exchange, a senior administration official suggested to the Post that the plan leaves room for the PA to negotiate a comprehensive end to the conflict satisfactory to the Palestinians amid rumors in the region and concerns in the PA that the team plans on undermining Palestinian claims to sovereignty. There's even a plan that's being gossiped about out there that perhaps that the West Bank area, the Arab citizens of that area would be made citizens of Jordan, and that there would be no Palestinian state, that it would only be Jordan, because, you know, Jordan was originally created to be a Palestinian state and declared its independence in 1946. So consequently, the rest of the Promised Land was supposed to be a Jewish state, but now then the Palestinians are trying to cut that in half, and the international community is agreeing, and they're squeezing Israel down, down, down. All right, so now then the Trump administration says, you know, maybe it would work just to enlarge Jordan and give King Abdullah of Jordan the authority over all of the Palestinians. Well, those are some of the gossips going around, and people are listening, because now they're finding out that what Trump says, he's serious. If we're successful at reaching a comprehensive peace agreement, which is our goal, then all of these decisions become moot, the official noted. If the parties agree on a solution to Jerusalem, then the Jerusalem decision and embassy move, it becomes moot. In other words, let's say that Jerusalem, it would be decided that East Jerusalem would be the capital of the Palestinians. Not decided yet. Israel says she will never agree to it. And by the way, according to the Bible, she won't. But let's say that we get down to the negotiations. Jerusalem is negotiated. We reach a conclusion. And let's say that we negotiate concerning all the refugees, and there's a solution. Let's say that every refugee family is given $500,000 to make a new life for themselves in the nation where they are right now. Well, that's a lot of money. Most of us would take it. Or whatever they would give. I have no private source to tell you what's in the plan, but it's something like this. They have talked about allowing these refugees to make a home for themselves and for the international community to supply the money. I mean, we spend enough money on all the wars in the Middle East, we could give each of them $1 million apiece. Anyway, if the parties agree on a solution to the refugee question, then the UNRWA decision becomes moot, because UNRWA itself becomes moot, because UNRWA is the UN relief work agency that presently has these 5 million refugees on welfare. What will bring both sides to the table is the peace plan itself, the official said. Now, they say in this peace plan is something for everybody. They say there's some parts of it that the Palestinians will like, some things they won't like. There's some things in it the Jews will like, some things they won't like. That's the nature of compromise in order to get a deal done. You have to give up some things, you get some things. That's what they're saying this plan is all about. Okay. Now, this article appeared just to let you see the other side of the coin. Palestinian official says Abbas needs to rethink path in the face of U.S. measures. A series of recent U.S. steps against the Palestinian Authority have infuriated the Palestinian leadership, but the outrage directed at the U.S. administration has been amplified by growing criticism directed at Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, who has made every possible mistake since President Donald Trump entered the White House, according to a senior Palestinian official who spoke to Israel Hayom, which is Israel Today newspaper. The official said that Abbas, fearing additional American sanctions on the PA, has instructed the Palestinians to stop attacking U.S. President Donald Trump and the administration in Washington, and to moderate statements against Israel. So Abbas says, whoa, wait a minute. We better quit our reckless language. Every time I open my mouth, it costs me $100 million. And so he's putting out the word, well, look, we better really moderate what we're doing here. This is not working for us. And Donald Trump, he reads these same articles and says, well, they're getting the message, finally. Okay, Now, this is what is going right now. I'll have some more things to tell you in our next segment if you get to stay around for that. But before we get there, I want to take a moment to tell you about this. End Time Magazine and End Time Ministries has produced a new coin. This is called the Final 7 Years coin. And on this coin, there's a picture of the Temple Mount, and below it, it says, "They that understand among the people shall instruct many." That's from Daniel chapter number 11, verse 33. That's what the Bible says we'll be doing during the final 7 years. And then on the opposite side of the coin is a picture of the American eagle lifting up the Star of David, the official emblem of the nation of Israel. And there it says Revelation 12:14, because in Revelation 12:14, it says a great eagle will protect Israel all during the great tribulation. Now, once they sign this peace deal, the final 7 years will begin. We have huge things we have to do. So we want to raise money to get End Time Ministries prepared to really evangelize this world in an unprecedented way. One thing we want to do, we want to put billboards in every major city in America. And we're talking about somewhere between $10 and $15 million. Now, I have every confidence in the world, but there's some of you out there, you are willing to help support that kind of a thing to the best of your ability. But one thing we can do, if you would like to have this silver coin, it's 0.999% silver. We had it minted ourselves. We designed the whole thing. Nothing like in the world. And there's only 1,000 of them in existence. We're asking you to donate $500 or more. And as a gift of appreciation, we're going to send this coin to you. We're getting ready for the final 7 years. It's called the Final 7 Years coin. Just call our operators, donate $500. We'll send it right to you. It's a treasure you can't get anywhere else in the world. If you'd like to do it online, I think you can do that. We're in the midst of our big transfer over. If you have problems, then just pick up the phone and call us. They'll work it out for you. Okay, 800 End Time is the number to call. God bless you.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter, the new book by Irvin's grandson, provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your connection to God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at End Time will help you find your purpose and eliminate fears. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Order this brand new book for only $14.99. Call 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com/move.
If ever people needed to hear the unvarnished truth, it is now. There are some subjects that are not politically correct to talk about, but they're urgent. That's why I'm grateful for End Time Magazine. If you're not a subscriber, you're missing information that will impact your life. End Time has a bi-monthly magazine that explains how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. You can get a 2-year subscription for only $29. You can also get a bulk subscription and pass them out to your church. We have gotten reports that End Time Magazine has caused spiritual awakenings in churches when they see the prophecies being fulfilled right now. You can start your own ministry and leave them in doctor's offices, libraries, laundromats. You never know if you might be responsible for saving someone who is searching for the unvarnished truth. That's what the magazine has done in many lives. Call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and get your subscription today.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archive button.
I know many of you join us at the bottom of the hour, so I want to remind you that we have 2 prophecy conferences coming up this week. On Friday evening in Indianapolis, Indiana, I will be speaking on America's God-given destiny. If you've not heard this lesson, do whatever you have to do to be there, because not only does the Bible prophesy about America, but furthermore, it tells us the future of America. You can know what's coming before it ever gets here. Really interesting. A lot of people called asking me who was going to win the American presidential election back in 2016. And I told him, I don't know for sure who's going to win, but I believe, according to the prophecies of the Bible, that Donald Trump will have to win. Well, the world was shocked, but it did happen. I told people that in advance, not because I had any kind of a psychic insight, but because I understood the prophecies of the Bible and the course that America had to take, and the other candidate would have taken us in the opposite direction. That's the way I knew. Okay, well, anyway, America's God-given destiny, that is this coming Friday evening, September the 21st at 7:30 p.m. I will be at the Mount Zion Apostolic Church, 4900 East 38th Street in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're looking for a great crowd there. We're looking for you there. Anyway, it's going to be a great time. Hope you can make it. Now, don't hesitate to drive in. People drive in from 2, 3, 4 hours away. And then Saturday night and Sunday morning, we will be up in South Bend. Of course, we have been in South Bend many times. We will be at the Ironwood United Pentecostal Church. That's September the 22nd at 7 p.m. I'll be speaking there on Trump, Jerusalem, Armageddon. And then on Sunday morning at 10 a.m., I'm going to be dealing with breaking prophetic fulfillment, some of the very latest things that are happening right now. You won't want to miss that. Anyway, that's Sunday morning at 10 a.m. And again, don't hesitate to drive in. A lot of people come in on Saturday night. They'll get a hotel room. And each of these 3 sessions are different, so you might want to attend all 3 of them. We would love to have you do that. Okay. Let's get right back now to our subject, because there's so much to cover here. Following the American decision last week to close the PLO mission in Washington, as well as the latest decision to stop funding projects that bring Israelis and Palestinians together, Abbas has decided to shelve his plan to criticize the actions of the Trump administration at the UN General Assembly in New York at the end of this month. Don't forget, President Trump will be speaking to the world from the podium of the United Nations on September the 25th. It's going to be very interesting what he has to say. Well, Abbas was planning on getting up there and tearing him up, but he's afraid to do it now, because what else could Donald Trump do? Maybe Donald Trump would decide they don't need Mahmoud Abbas anymore. He's 82 years of age. He is in the 12th year of his 4-year term. He was elected to. He's overstayed his welcome 8 years. He's not been voted back in. He's just there. Well, America has the political power and muscle in the Middle East to just yank the rug out from under him, and he could be without a job this time next month. So Abbas has put out the word. I'm not going to say anything too bad about Donald Trump. I'm a little bit leery about doing that. Furthermore, the closure of the PLO offices in Washington was shocking, the official told Israel Hayam. We didn't think Trump would go so far as to shut down the official Palestinian diplomatic mission in the U.S. He added that many officials in the Palestinian leadership were deeply critical of the way Abbas is handling the ongoing crisis between the Palestinians and the White House. Abbas needs to rethink his path. He has made every mistake possible since Trump entered the White House, the official said. Now, this is the Palestinians talking. What infuriated President Trump was Abbas's instruction to his representatives in Washington not to meet with Special Envoy to the Middle East, Jason Greenblatt. What more needs to happen for the office of the president to realize that Trump doesn't just make promises or threats? He carries them out. The Palestinian official listed the steps Trump has taken against the Palestinians and expressed Ramallah's disappointment at the response, or lack thereof, from Arab states. Trump moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. He canceled aid to UNRWA. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that funded the refugees. It was their welfare system. And cut aid money wherever he could. The Arab world said the attack on Jerusalem and the status of Palestinian refugees would lead to a world war. But it is only the Palestinians who are paying the price. No world war. Nothing happened when he recognized Jerusalem as the capital. No world war, nothing happened. Arab states like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan are giving Abbas the cold shoulder because they are not interested in a confrontation with the Trump administration. Certainly not over the Palestinian issue, he said. Our basic premise is that if Palestinian relations with the U.S. worsen, it will lead to more blows which we might not be able to recover from. With all due respect to the support of the European Union, both diplomatically and financially, it's no substitute for American support. Even the Arab states' contribution is largely declarative, and most of the donations that Arab countries promised to send to the Palestinians never arrive, the official told the paper. Abbas's directive to his staff to moderate the tone when discussing Trump and the U.S. was plainly evident in an interview that senior PA official Saeb Erekat gave to Reuters last week. But that's not all that's happening in Israel. I want to take you now to another big thing that really interested me. This article just appeared. Demands to sacrifice Yom Kippur scapegoat on Temple Mount rejected. This came out in the Jerusalem Post just today. The casting of a scapegoat off a cliff, the sacrifice of another goat as well as a bull, 2 rams and 2 lambs are among the various practices which one of the Temple Mount activist groups is demanding to enact this Yom Kippur on the sacred site in Jerusalem. Oh, by the way, Yom Kippur starts tomorrow evening, Tuesday evening, and continues for the next 26 hours past Wednesday evening. Now, Yom Kippur is the holiest holiday of the year. This is the time when the Jews believe God looks at all the people with all their actions and determines whether they will be blessed this next year or they will be judged. Rosh Hashanah, which is 10 days ago, that's the marking of the new year. There's a 10-day period where Jews are instructed to repent. If they've done anything to hurt anyone, they're to go to them and apologize and make amends. Because if they will not forgive their neighbor and make things right with their neighbor, it says in Jewish law that God will not forgive them. Of course, Jesus repeated this. He said, if you go to the altar to pray and you remember your brother has something against you, then leave the altar, go talk to your brother, be reconciled to your brother, then come back and God will listen to your prayer. Well, this is the same concept in the Jewish religion. Now, the Returning to the Mountain organization, which seeks to build the third temple on the Temple Mount, has requested it be allowed to conduct the full ritual service for Yom Kippur as laid out in the Bible at the site, including ritual animal sacrifices that are a central part of the economy. You may know about the scapegoat. Once a year at Yom Kippur, which was the Day of Atonement in the Bible, they would offer 2 goats. They would take 2 goats. One of them, the elders of Israel would place their hands on them and impute to them the sins of the people. Then they would take that goat way out into the desert, far enough away from civilization they can never get back. And they would leave them out there to wander and bear the pain of the sins of the nation of Israel. The other goat they would kill, and they had some other things that they went through. Well, they are requesting that they be allowed to do this tomorrow on the Temple Mount. In ancient times, when the 2 temples stood, I'm talking about the first temple and the second temple, the high priest would carry out a complex and meticulous ceremony in the temple and the Holy of Holies. The ceremony involved several animal sacrifices and other rituals, including the casting of lots for 2 goats, one of which would be sanctified and burnt. The high priest would confess the sins of Israel on the head of the other goat and send it out to the desert to carry away the sins of the nation. Now, in practice, this became the practice of Israel. It was thrown over a cliff to prevent it from returning. The request was made to Jerusalem police for them to be able to do this year on the Temple Mount, but was denied. A police spokesman cited a government decision in 1967 which instructed then Chief Rabbi Shlomo Goren to desist from organizing prayer services on the Temple Mount and to direct anyone seeking to pray there to go down to the Western Wall to pray. The High Court of Justice has in principle upheld the right of Jewish prayer and freedom of worship at the site, but said the police are able to reject such requests if there is a fear that they may lead to violence and public disturbances. Temple Mount activists insist, however, it is government policy in refusing to allow Jewish worship at the site, which is the main obstacle to Jewish prayer and rituals on the Temple Mount. Raphael Morris, 23 years of age, who heads the Returning to the Mountain organization and lives in the unauthorized settlement outpost of Ahaya, insisted there are no restrictions within Jewish law against performing the service on the Temple Mount and even at the site where the Holy of Holies was located, despite the inability to achieve the requisite spiritual purity in modern times, such as offering of the ashes of a red heifer. There is no real obstacle to doing this service, said Morris, who said the police could secure the ceremony if they wanted to. The time has come that the Jewish people adds deeds to its prayers. The era of prayers by themselves and actions by themselves has ended. The time has come for the redemption in which prayers and deeds go hand in hand, continued Morris. We have returned to the land of Israel, and part of that is to rebuild the temple, and if we have the ability to do the obligatory commandments stipulated by the Torah, then we have to do it, he said. Morris told the Jerusalem Post that he is in favor of rebuilding the temple, which he acknowledged would entail taking down the Dome of the Rock shrine, which sits on the Temple Mount. He said he did not believe that such an action would provoke war with the Muslim world, since it would demonstrate the Jewish people are strong and the true owners of this land. The temple does not descend from heaven. It is built with blood and tears, Morris said. This is what we have dreamed of for 2,000 years. He said his organization was considering an appeal to the High Court, but time has effectively run out for such a course of action this year. Well, a lot of news breaking in Israel, and in the last segment we will be taking your calls, but amazing what's going on. Now, will they in fact tear down the Dome of the Rock? No, they won't. There is going to be a peace deal. There is going to be a Jewish temple built on the Temple Mount, but it will be built north of the Dome of the Rock. They will not disturb the Dome of the Rock nor the Al-Aqsa Mosque. They will build their temple. They will start animal sacrifices. All this lie ahead. If you want to know what's going to happen during the final 7 years, we have a course called From Here to Armageddon. It's available to you. It's 8 lessons from here to Armageddon if you'd like to have it.
If ever people needed to hear the unvarnished truth, it is now. Some subjects that are not politically correct to talk about, but they're urgent. That's why I'm grateful for End Time Magazine. If you're not a subscriber, you're missing information that will impact your life. End Time has a bi-monthly magazine that explains how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. You can get a 2-year subscription for only $29. You can also get a bulk subscription and pass them out to your church. We have gotten reports that End Time Magazine has caused spiritual awakenings in churches when they see the prophecies being fulfilled right now. You can start your own ministry and lead them in doctor's offices, libraries, laundromats. You never know if you might be responsible for saving someone who is searching for the unvarnished truth. That's what the magazine has done in many lives. Call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and get your subscription today.
So as you can see, things are buzzing all week long in Israel. There's more than we can even tell you. We just chose a few things to share with you. But that's where we are right now. Now remember, The greatest prophetic fulfillment in 2,000 years hinges on the signing of a peace agreement between Palestinians and Israelis. And that's what everybody's talking about right now. Is it going to happen? Yes, it's going to happen. The only question is when. The other bigger question is, will we be ready? Will you and I be ready? Here at End Time Ministries, we've been working on getting ready for over a year. We have installed new software. You may have had, if you've been trying to donate on our website or possibly place an order, you may have had some problems. A few people have in the transition from one software platform to the other. If you have a problem, then just pick up the phone and call us and solve it that way. We're trying to get all the bugs out as quick as we can because we're gearing up for the final 7-year plunge to the Battle of Armageddon and the second coming of Jesus Christ. Now I want to ask you a question. Are you ready? Are you getting ready for the final 7 years? If you don't know what's ahead for the United States, if you've never seen America's God-given destiny, or if you've never viewed the DVD, Trump, Jerusalem, Armageddon, both those are available. I actually have 3 DVDs that I would highly recommend to you that have to do with America and its future. The first one is called Master Plan of the Dragon. This is the secret plan by the establishment to take control of America. It was launched 100 years ago. I name names, I name organizations, I prove it to you. It's called Master Plan of the Dragon. Every person in America should view that DVD. The second one is America's God-given destiny. The third one, Trump, Jerusalem, Armageddon. Those 3 together, by the way, if you get 3, you get a reduction in price on that. So anyway, call us. The 3 DVDs, the America's God-given destiny, Trump, Jerusalem, Armageddon, and Master Plan of the Dragon. Those are the 3 that if you were going to get 3 to really let you know what's going on in America and what the swamp is all about and what the establishment is and what globalism is all about, if you really want to figure out what's going about and why NATO is shaking in Europe right now and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing and what's going to happen to America and why moving the embassy to Jerusalem was a God thing. If you want to understand all of those things, those 3 DVDs will educate you like nothing else I know of. So one more time. Master Plan of the Dragon, America's God-given destiny, and Trump, Jerusalem, Armageddon. Those are the 3 that I would get if I were you. The number to call to do that, 1-800-END-TIME. We're coming to the phones now. And Chad is calling from Florida. Hello, Chad.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, Chad. Welcome to...
Hey, yes, sir. I was wondering, the previous 3 administrations tried but failed to get the Real ID Act passed, but 3 months ago, Mr. Trump got passed, which basically says by 2020 that all IDs will be from correct, we'll have one national ID. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, it was already passed before he became president. It was passed and signed into law on May the 11th of 2005 by George W. Bush. However, they have been trying to push it through for a long time. And the main impetus behind it was to try to stop illegal immigration. Because if you don't have a real ID, if you do have a real ID, then when you apply for a job, you've got to present that real ID. Well, I'm against it. However, I'm not as upset about it as I used to be. Because now that I know from the scriptures that America is never going to fall under the power of the Antichrist, that means that the mark of the beast is never going to be implemented here in the United States of America. That was my biggest fear when it came to the Real ID Act. I still don't like us having a national ID card where they can track everything you do. Right now, the Real ID is not a national ID card. It's only being applied to certain situations. For instance, you cannot fly commercially on airlines as of 2020 without a driver's license that has all of the attributes of the Real ID Act law. So that is something I don't like it, but I'm not nearly as upset about it now that I understand that the mark of the beast will not be coming to America.
unfortunately, I hate to say that's going to be the start of the mark, and I and a lot of people in my church are definitely not going to get one or not going to be involved with it because we know what it's all about. Well, sir, have yourself a nice day. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you for that at all, Chad. However, most people that are listening to this program right now, if they renewed their driver's license recently, you already have it. Because if there's a little gold star on your license, that means it's Real ID compliant. I do not believe that you have committed a sin, nor do I believe you've taken the mark of the beast. I do, however, I do favor freedom. I do not like governmental surveillance, and hopefully we can be driven away from that. However, President Trump has been so anxious to shield America from illegal immigration and especially terror attacks. But you know, the biggest problem we have today is not terror attacks. The biggest problem we have today is drug infiltration, the opioid crisis. I recently heard that 75,000 Americans died last year from these opioids that are coming across the Mexican border toward us. I mean, that alone is a good reason to build the wall, and I certainly hope that that will happen. Now, we're not against immigration, legal immigration, but it should be legal. It should not be illegal. Now, I'll just tell you, for all of you out there that are listening today, you may be illegal because there's about 12 million of them here in the United States of America. My heart goes out to you because the government turned its head the other way for many, many years. You don't get 12 million illegals here without the government being complicit with it. So I'm not criticizing you at all. In my opinion, if the president did what he should do, he would get the wall built, he would get the proper laws enacted, and then he would find a way to not uproot all of the people who have already come here with governmental acquiescence. He would solve the problem once and for all. But you can't declare amnesty until you get a wall built, because then you've created all kinds of problems. Of course, people who are here illegally that are committing crimes, that's a whole nother category that has to be dealt with. Anyway, that's part of what we're talking about. Now then, we do have open lines. If you'd like to be on the air with me, we have a few minutes left. The number to call, 877-END-TIME, 877-363-8463. Let's go now to Kelly, calling from right here in Texas. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
What's on your mind?
Well, I just wondered, why is one world order on the back of our dollar bill?
Well, it was put there in 1935. It was put there by Franklin D. Roosevelt, our president at the time. And he's the man who was the driving force behind the founding of the United Nations, because he believed in world government. And Truman, after him, believed in world government. So they wanted to have a one world order. The inscription actually says Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is Latin for New World Order or New Secular Order. And it's there underneath the pyramid in Latin. So it's put there, and it was put there because President Roosevelt wanted a new world order.
I see. Do you think that it'll always be there, or do you think they'll change that?
I would love to see it leave. However, there is a one world government in formation now, but fortunately, America is not going to be a part of it. That's what President Trump was running against when he was running for president in 2016. At the Republican debates, he spoke openly against globalism. Well, globalism is the road to the one world order, or the new world order. That's the whole purpose of globalism, is to get rid of the nation state and to blend us into a one world governmental system. President Trump has pounded away against that, and we should be very thankful, because that one world government, when it is formed, it will be centered out of Europe, and it will be ruled by the man called the beast, or the Antichrist. We don't want to have any part of that. The Bible prophesies America is not going to be a part of the New World Order.
Well, let's hope they don't take "In God We Trust" off our bills either.
No, let's not allow that to happen. And, you know, Kelly, as far as I know, we're the only nation on earth. Now, I could be mistaken, but I believe we're the only nation on earth that has "In God We Trust" on our money. And I'm so grateful that we have that. A lot of people find a lot of faults with the United States, but I'll tell you, I think all of us should be so thankful that we keep "In God We Trust." There are people that want to take it off, but they've not been successful. I'm so thankful it's there.
I am too, and I'm thankful you're here.
Well, thank you. I hope I'm on your prayer list too. I hope you pray for me all the time, and all of you out there that are listening. Here at End Time Ministries, we need your prayers. We got huge amounts of work to do. We got to race the rapture. It's a privilege for me to be here. At the same time, the demands are incredible because we work day and night to try to get everything done. There's so much to be done, but we're going to get it done. God's going to help us. Thanks a lot, Kelly. We'll let you go.
Thank you.
Let me go now again to Texas. James is calling. Hello, James.
Hello, Irvin. I have a question for you. Do you think Donald John Trump could be one of the two anointed witnesses during the Great Tribulation?
No, James, I don't believe that, because these two people will be great prophets. I do believe God is using President Trump, but I do not believe he will be one of the two witnesses. I think he's a long ways from being to the point where he could be used in that way. I think he needs to be baptized with the Holy Ghost. I think he needs to clean up his language. There's a lot of things that he would have to change before God would use him at that level. These two witnesses are going to be two of the greatest preachers and prophets that the world has ever seen, probably since Peter and Paul. So consequently, no, I don't believe that, but I do speak respectfully of President Trump because I do believe God is using him to get America out of the New World Order and to get us into an alliance with Israel, which is exactly what the Bible says we should be doing.
I see these two witnesses with the names James and John.
Yeah, well, the Bible doesn't say what their names will be, but they will definitely be here preaching, and they will be mortal men. They're not going to be immortal. They're not going to come back from 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. They're going to come here in the spirit and power of Moses and Elijah, just like John came in the power of Elijah, preaching 2,000 years ago as the forerunner of Christ. These two men are going to do many of the miracles like Elijah and Moses did, but they will be mortal beings. They're on the earth right now. Actually, I prayed for them this morning during my prayer time. Whoever they are, I do not know who they are. Whoever they are, I pray that God would bless them, anoint them, develop them to fulfill the role, because their time is coming pretty soon now. Well, okay, James, thank you very much. And we are out of time. Let me mention to you one more time the final 7 years coin, pure silver, 0.99%, produced by End Time Ministries. And on the front it says, "They that understand among the people shall instruct many." On the back it says Revelation 12:14, because there it says that the eagle will protect Israel during the end time. It has an eagle protecting the Star of David in the end time. Exactly what the Bible says is going to happen. Donate $500 for the End Time Fund, and we'll send this to you as a gift of Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. God bless you.
This has been End of the Age, brought to you by the faithful partners of End Time Ministries. If you're not currently a partner with End Time Ministries, or if you would like more information, we invite you to call us at 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or visit us online at endtime.com.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page.